Hi, I'm Kathy Cruz. I'm a retail coach, a retail store owner, and host of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. I personally know how busy shopkeepers are, so I like to keep podcast episodes short and sweet. These bite-sized podcast episodes, though, they're full of value because I want to help you work less, profit more, and grow your business. This short video introduction is going to be followed by a podcast episode, so feel free to multitask, especially if you have your AirPods in. But sometimes you're going to want to take notes. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you get notified every time I publish a new podcast episode or a new video. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening.
Independent retail business can mean so many things these days. A brick and mortar store, an e-commerce business, a maker's online shop, a booth at an antique mall, and more. No matter which category you're in, Kathy Cruz, a fellow retail business owner and retail educator, will teach you how to market and manage your business efficiently so you can spend time doing other things you love. Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Podcast.
Welcome to episode 58 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast, part 3 of the Retail CEO Challenge, the health of your business. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. So today I'm at home, as usual when I record, working, and I've had lots of coffee. I hopped on the treadmill, walked 3 miles, ran 3 miles. So I am feeling pretty good today, especially after being at Atlanta for I guess it was almost a week. You know, when you're gone and then you come back and then you need to catch up and you need some rest. But I feel like even a few days after we came back, I've kind of been in a good groove. So I am looking forward to this episode. Don't know why I just went off on a little bit of a tangent there. But if you're not caught up on episodes, or if you're a new listener and started with this episode, I should explain that we're week 3 into the 2021 Retail CEO Challenge. So you can listen to these episodes and learn, or you can sign up for the challenge in the Shopkeepers Academy, and we'll have it all linked in the show notes, where you get access to every resource I mentioned. Plus, you'll be able to attend a live masterclass that I'll be teaching on February 8th, 2021. Even if you're listening to this episode after February of 2021, I want to point out that there are good lessons in each of these episodes, so don't skip them just because you think like, oh, I didn't sign up for the challenge, this isn't for me. That's not the case, especially after episode 57. I really want you to go ahead and listen anyhow. They're free, right? And I feel like I still give value in each episode, and I think you'll learn something new in each episode, regardless of whether you sign up or not. Based on feedback, comments on social media posts, messages I'm getting, and the number of shopkeepers who have signed up for the challenge after episode, I think it was 57 aired, this episode must have really resonated with you. A listener said, and I think this was a comment on Facebook. She said, I listened and loved it. It's like you were speaking directly to me. I am strongly considering the workshop. We had another podcast listener comment. I think this one was on Instagram. And she said, I needed to hear this episode today with a bunch of exclamation points. I'm so all over the place. Kids, sports, no events, quarantine, etc. It just all hit hard. And I'm still recouping from the chaos and uncertainty. And I want to say thank you for the people that are commenting. It's always nice to know when there's a podcast episode or a piece of content that I publish that really helps and resonates with people. And the one about systems and processes definitely did. So if you didn't listen to that episode, go back for sure. And I stand corrected. It was actually episode 56. So far, this is what I've covered during the episodes that pertain to the challenge. In episode 56, I talked about systems and processes, like I just mentioned. In episode 57, I talked about tracking performance or tracking business performance. And during each of those episodes, I talked about the challenge worksheets that correspond with both of those topics. The worksheets that you get when you sign up that apply to systems and processes, and then the worksheets that apply to tracking business performance. So we're 3 episodes into this challenge because if you count the introduction, I just want to make sure that I point out some of the important points that I've made during this challenge so far. Man, I feel like I've said challenge like 200 times already. But the first point that I've made is why CEO time is so important. The second, how systems and processes can simplify your business and save you time. That's one of the most important parts of that episode. And then number 3 is what tracking can do for you as the CEO of your business. And not only you, but in particular your business. There are actually other valuable sheets in the bundle that I haven't even mentioned, like a year at a glance calendar, so you can see all of the major holidays and the big important retail dates like Small Business Saturday in a single view for 2021. It's sometimes those little simple tools or those little simple things that really help you, especially when you're planning. I actually love that worksheet. There's a full year marketing calendar, there's a simple to-do list, a simple goal setting worksheet that you can check off as you make progress throughout the year. This is for more like bigger goals. But today I want to talk about the last 2 worksheets in the bundle. They might be the last, but they're certainly not the least. These 2 worksheets are the most valuable tools in this bundle. So just to make sure all challenge participants are caught up, first, you should have a folder or binder. Maybe you personalized it with stickers or your logo, something on the front that indicates that it's your CEO binder. Second, you should have all of the worksheets that I keep talking about from the worksheets module downloaded, and then only print the ones that work best for your business. Next, you might even have some of the worksheets prepped for the year, like your monthly sales tracking worksheet. And on this particular worksheet, you may have filled in all of your monthly sales information from 2020. Maybe you even set your goals for 2021. And then throughout the year, you'll fill in every month what your actual revenue is. So maybe you prepped some of those worksheets for your CEO binder. And then out of the downloads, today we're going to talk about the business health checklist and the goal setting worksheet. So those should be the 2 that you pull out so that you can actually follow along as I talk about it. This is the point in the challenge where I want you to set a true CEO date with yourself, or maybe with your business partner or your store manager. And I mean it. I want you to take either a day off from the shop or even half a day. If you're laughing at me when I say take a day off, don't. It is possible. Maybe you can do half a day if one full day seems impossible. But I want you to create some quiet time. And if this means asking the hubby or the wife or your partner, kids, employees not to disturb you, then so be it. Remember, you have to set boundaries, and people will need to start learning how to respect those boundaries. And this particular CEO date that I want you to set with yourself is really important. This episode is brought to you by Gusto. Gusto is a payroll software system for small businesses that makes it easy to add new hires, calculate and withhold taxes, process payroll for employees and contractors, and stay compliant. Even better, Gusto is affordable for small retail business owners. If you're looking to hire and you're overwhelmed by what to withdraw, how to calculate it, what paperwork you need to file, Gusto makes it really easy to manage payroll. The system does it all for you. If you want more like time tracking, workers' compensation benefits, or other benefits for employees, Gusto offers those services too. We all learned in 2020 the value of payroll employees versus subcontractor employees, particularly when we applied for federal assistance programs or local and national grants. If you know it's time to build a team of payroll employees, or you're frustrated with your current payroll provider, and you want to try Gusto for 1 month free, visit savvyshopkeeper.com/Gusto for a special link. That's savvyshopkeeper.com/Gusto, Gusto. So I would even say, like, make your favorite beverage, go into your favorite room or chair, make this CEO date special. So prior to COVID, my sister and I would set a dinner date at a local restaurant, and we would change up the local restaurant every year. And it felt good to support a restaurant that's located in the city where our store is. And we would have probably a 3-hour dinner date. And I would show up with all of the spreadsheets and the information. Now I have worksheets that work better, But at the time when I first started this, I was just kind of creating it on my own. I didn't have a resource or a tool to help me do this. So I was just creating it as I went along the way. But my sister and I would set a date. We would normally do it in January, and we probably spent a good 3 hours at dinner talking about all of this stuff. And the business health checklist has evolved over the past 3 years. The most recent revision resulted in me improving the worksheet probably leaps and bounds compared to the first version. And it went from 1 page to 2 pages. And then I also added several categories because I thought it was important. And I was kind of surprised at some of the things that I had missing on that. But it was the women in Master Shopkeepers who actually brought that to my attention just through conversation. And I added it. Again, these worksheets get better every year. As shopkeepers, especially the 1 or 2 person shops, we don't always take the time to really reflect and determine the true health of our business. We also tend to focus on revenue. So I want to say this very clearly. Revenue should not be a shopkeeper's only focus. Again, one more time. And who was it that said they laugh at me every time I stop and pause and say something over again? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I said I was going to mention you too. But revenue should not be a shopkeeper's only focus. Yes, of course, it's important. It's the gasoline for your engine. And if we say systems and processes are the engine, then this health checklist will force you to check every other part under the hood of your car or under the hood of your business. It's like your 15-point inspection. And you should see me right now patting myself on the back for this metaphor. But it works. It works. Like if I talk about all the parts of this challenge, it's really, really comparable to the way a car works. And it's the way your business works. So this part of the challenge is twofold. Now, not only do you want to check on the health of your business, but then you want to set goals for making improvements in the areas where you determine maybe your business isn't so healthy. The business health checklist is made up of 15 categories, and next to each category, there's a checkbox. For each category, I have several sentences that will help you have a conversation with yourself about each part of your business. For example, category number 1 is business happiness. And this is important because work less, profit more is the Savvy Shopkeeper tagline, and it really epitomizes the mission of Savvy Shopkeeper. I sincerely want shopkeepers to work less because I often see how unhappy they are that their business consumes so much of their lives. And I want them, or I should say I want all of you to profit more because I also see so many of you working for years in your businesses without ever collecting a single paycheck. So I have business happiness in spot number 1. It's that important to me, and I want it to be that important to you. So this is how I have it phrased, the questions that you'll, kind of like having the conversation with yourself. Business happiness. My business allows me sufficient freedom to pursue everything that I want. I have sufficient time for friends, family, and leisure activities. My business energizes me and compensates me financially. So then you ask yourself, is that worthy of a check in the checkbox? The next category, and I won't go through all of them, but another example of a category is resiliency and business continuity. And this is the conversation you have with yourself. I have business insurance that will cover accidents and disasters. I have a recovery plan that will allow me or someone else to continue to run my business. My business records are regularly backed up. If applicable, I am setting my business up to successfully sell it. Again, ask yourself. And again, you want to make sure that it applies to your business. If it doesn't apply to your business, you can cross that portion out. But if all of that does apply to your business, you want to ask yourself again, are you healthy here? Is this a good category to check off? And if it is, fantastic, check it off. But you'll walk through all 15 categories on this business health checklist. This episode is brought to you by Tundra. Tundra is an online marketplace for retailers in the United States and Canada. And what I really like about Tundra is that they eliminate transaction fees and markups. As a result, Tundra empowers their community of buyers and suppliers to keep reinvesting in themselves. As a Shop Small advocate and a buyer for my own retail store, I appreciate that the makers aren't taking a hit on their profit margin when I order from them on Tundra. From home decor to beauty and fashion, there are hundreds, probably even thousands of suppliers to buy from. If you're a brick and mortar store owner and you open a new account, you'll get $50 off your first purchase with Tundra. To get this special offer, visit savvyshopkeeper.com/Tundra. Again, it's savvyshopkeeper.com/Tundra, Tundra, and you'll get a special link to get $50 off your first purchase. So each member of Master Shopkeepers utilizes the checkbox on this worksheet a little differently, and it's actually fun to learn from them. So some of them will use the box to either add a smiley face or a sad face to reflect their quote-unquote grade for each category. And then some will rate the health of each category by assigning it a value from 1 to 10. And then some will simply use a check in the checkbox to indicate that they're happy with that category in their business. And then if it's not checked off, it means it's time for them to set goals. It doesn't matter how you use the checkbox. I guess the point is you create the system that works best for you. But the important part is that you sit down and have the CEO date with yourself. And make sure that you reflect on each category. And then after you do this, or while you're doing it, you'll take the goal setting worksheet to set your goals for 2021 and then the future, because most likely we're not going to be able to get everything done this year. For instance, if you review the resiliency and business continuity category and you realize that maybe it's been years since you took a look at your insurance policy, or maybe you recently realized or noticed that you're underinsured because when you opened your store, you may have had, let's say $30,000 in inventory, but you've grown over the years and now you carry $100,000 in inventory. So it's time to set a goal to review your policy and call your insurance agent. That's one goal setting worksheet. One worksheet that you'll complete to make sure that you get that done, because obviously having your business fully insured or just making sure that you have enough insurance is extremely important. And it's something that I've done myself in the past. I think my sister and I a few years ago looked at our policy and we're like, wait a minute, we have a lot more than that in our store, and we had to bump it up. Other categories on the business health checklist cover social media and marketing, COGS and expenses, your point of sale system, your online presence and website, and then of course there are more categories. So when you have the CEO date, you'll want to allow, I say, and based off of feedback from other Master Shopkeepers members, I would say allow for at least 2 hours. And some people have said, especially if they're having conversations with a business partner, that it took them 2 hours alone to do the business health checklist, and then they made another date to sit down and plan their goals. When you're done, you might have lots of goal setting worksheets to complete. But what's nice about the goal setting worksheet that I created is that there's an area on it where you can delegate the task. Yes, you all know I love to delegate. So if you have team members, please utilize them. Don't try to tackle all of your goal setting worksheets yourself. You have a team for a reason. There's also an area on the worksheet where you can assign a time frame for the task. So maybe you'll determine you have one goal that you want to set and one task that you want to accomplish, but you have 10 others that have more of a priority. So there's an area that you can even mark like that you want to accomplish one goal in Q1, maybe another 2 goals in Q2, and you can indicate that, and then you can kind of put them in order. That way, not all of the worksheets feel so overwhelming. Maybe some of them you won't handle until 2022, and that's completely okay. I don't expect anyone to set all of their goals and then accomplish them in 1 or 2 months. That's way too much. I know for most of us, when we go through this worksheet, we're not happy or we realize our business isn't completely healthy in many categories. I get it. I just want you to have a little bit of grace there when you start to work on it, and then I don't want you to get overwhelmed. So be realistic. Again, give yourself some grace, but start. That's the most important thing. Progress in this instance is better than perfection, and the health of your business is just too important to neglect. I also want to remind you that I really do this in my own business. This isn't just some random idea that I came up with or something that doesn't serve me well. It certainly serves me well. So I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. It's not too late to sign up for the challenge. I want to make sure I mention that. You can visit shopkeepersacademy.com. You'll see the listing for the 2021 Retail CEO Challenge there. Not only do you get all the worksheets I'm talking about, but you'll get the year-end Retail CEO report, which I'll cover next week. Plus, I'll be teaching a 1-hour masterclass, and that will be followed up by a 1-hour Q&A session, and we're doing that on Zoom. The one thing that I really enjoy is teaching face-to-face, even if it means it's Zoom, having interaction, seeing people's facial expressions, having you raise your hand so that I can actually kind of gauge who's understanding what I'm talking about, or if you have a question. That's one thing that I really enjoy doing is teaching in person and being able to see all of your faces. So all of that will be done on Zoom, and that's on February 8th, 2021. And if you can't attend live, yes, you will get a link to watch the replay. So I just want to make sure that I say that because it's the one question I often get, like, February 8th doesn't work for me. You will get the full replay, and you'll have access to that replay, I think, for 60 days. So don't forget, if you're in Master Shopkeepers, you already have access to all of this information, so you don't have to sign up for this challenge. And if you're a lab member, there's a special discount code listed in the announcements at the top of the group in the Facebook group. If you want to see the show notes to this episode or find links to anything I have mentioned, please visit my blog at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 58. And if you have any questions, if you're trying to still figure out, is this challenge really going to help me? You can DM me on Instagram. I've had a couple of people send me messages through my Facebook, contact me through the contact form on my website. I always say DM on Instagram just because I like to be consistent, and it's really easy to just go there and DM me. But I want you to know that if you do have questions, I am always happy to answer. So until the next episode, be savvy and boss up.